Hey everybody, welcome to Fantasy R&R. This is your host Ryan,
And I'm Rob.
and this is the 2022 Fantasy Football Championships.
This is Fantasy with Rob and Ryan, Fantasy R&R.
We're going to do a little bit of a year in review today for the 2022 season, but first we have the unveiling of the newest fantasy star of 2022, the lifesaver known as Cam Akers. Rob, I'm going to let you take this one away.
Cam Akers. I've been bringing up this man's name all year long. I threw caution to the wind, as Ryan phrased it earlier today, and I played Cam Akers, and guess what? Cam Akers won me a fucking game to get me into the mother effing championship in our ESPN league. This is the first time I made the playoffs.
Just
I'm
curse.
going to the finals.
It's the
Cam
motherfucking
Akers.
championships.
Cam Akers, I fucking love you! 77.8% rostered. This is a potential league winner, sitting in close to a quarter of leagues right now in ESPN, guys. You have to go get Cam Akers. He is clearly the RB1 in LA. Hey, they're not that great. I get it. Hey, Baker Mayfield's their quarterback. I understand. But somebody's got to touch the ball. 23 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. 2 catches, 29 yards. Put up 34.7 points, guys. He is about to face the Chargers. The Chargers are 26th in the league, allowing 140.5 rushing yards per game. Guess what? Cam Akers and the Rams are facing the lowly Chargers defense. Cam Akers, I love you so much. I'm going to have to order myself a Cam Akers jersey if I win this league. You heard it here first, folks. Ryan, that's all I got. Cam Akers, I love you.
Yeah, it was amazing. It definitely was not a Cam mistakers to play him. Over the last 4 weeks, 17 carries, 2 TDs, 12 carries, 1 TD, 12 carries, 0 TDs, but had 3 targets in the passing game, 35 yards in the air, and this last week, 23 carries for 118 yards, 3 TDs, 2 targets, 29 yards. This is an RB1, guys, and he's sitting out there on the waiver wire. I know at the beginning of the season, we talked a big game about taking Cam Akers in the draft. A lot of us are obviously very disappointed with how the season played out, but clearly this guy still has the talent. In your keeper leagues, you want to hold on to him, and in your redraft leagues, this is the time to go see if you're one of the lucky 23 to 25% of leagues that still have him on the waiver wire. I know someone like me that was flexing Isaiah McKenzie for most of the year. Fuck you, ESPN. Always interrupting me as if I need to give Field Yates any more money. I know I've been
Probably an article about Cam Akers being an
Correct.
RB1 next year.
Yeah, they beat us to it as usual. Isaiah McKenzie, the guy I've been rolling with at flex, total disappointment. I should have started Cam Akers. I console myself because it wouldn't have won me the league anyway. But this week, you can bet I'm putting that little bastard in. That's why we just couldn't give up. Never gonna give you up. Just rickrolled the entire audience here. All right, let's get on to our year in review. And it's been a great season in ESPN, the toilet bowl as usual, Rob. I love having you in the league. I was very happy when Ross reached out to you, and I was just like, man, I'm lonely in New Mexico. I just want to have like a fantasy football league, and like it's been great to have you. And I know you've always been busy with other baseball leagues and stuff like that, so it's great to have you in for this long. This is the 6th season, and I gotta say, I've had my ups and downs. I have been in the championship twice. I've lost it both times. I have been the number 1 pick, worst team in the league, multiple times as well. This year, very disappointing. I guess my high would be Jalen Hurts coming to fruition. Everybody that took Jalen Hurts this year after guys we took, like Josh Allen or Mahomes, went off the board, or we even wanted Herbert in a lot of these situations. I don't know why in my redraft leagues I just wasn't interested in taking him, but I mean they made out like a bandit, and for me it's just kind of been rough to find my quarterback in ESPN. I had Deshaun Watson for a long time after a trade, trying to get my quarterback position up to par. And you know how I felt about him. I got rid of him before that whole scandal even happened. But Jalen Hurts, even with missing this last game from the sprained shoulder, he's averaging 25.2 points a game, and he's position ranked 3. That's with the missed week. This guy's been absolutely incredible, putting up 22 TDs through the air. Has a ridiculous amount on the ground as well. I think he's up to 13 TDs on the ground. So just an absolute monster in fantasy this year, and I knew he would be a fantasy star. I didn't think he'd be this close to the Super Bowl MVP. So that's the big high for me this year, is just getting my franchise quarterback. And a guy I really like and respect. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. My low has got to be how Jonathan Taylor performed for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and then making that trade for Cooper Kupp in our keeper league, knowing I was giving away a young running back who may get over this injury, like Christian McCaffrey, for example, for an older wide receiver who already had an ACL tear in his past in 2018. That worked out for about 3 weeks. I looked like the winner, but it's only gotten me to a 6-8 record. Totally missed the playoffs, and I'm only getting the 4th pick next year for the rookie draft. So that's my low. It's just kind of one of those seasons where it's like, whatever. Like, you look at that and you're not excited at all. It's the opposite of a veiny erection. And I'd have to say my strategy for next year would be to make another monster trade for a RB2. You know, with giving away Jonathan Taylor and then Etienne, which I thought was going to take longer for him to be our RB1. I mean, as soon as I get rid of him to you, you know, he becomes a monster. Now I'm really down to Saquon Barkley and Najee Harris with that speculative Redskins running back situation that always comes up. I got Brian Robinson, and you know how it is with Redskins running backs. It's like they're good enough but never really pan out. J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson. It's been a while since we've had, you know, some of those big names on the Redskins. So that's my strategy for next year. Just do a monster trade on RB2. Why don't you take us through the same thing now that you're in the championship? This is your first time getting to the playoffs in league history. Now you're in the championship. What's your high, low, and your strategy for next year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, year in review, my high is definitely kind of piggybacking off what you want to do was trading for Austin Ekeler. Early in the year, I remember I had gotten him in one league, and he was slow to start. So I went to Zach, who owned Ekeler. Hey, what do you want for Ekeler? He's in a complete rebuild, just took on this team. It was just a catastrophe. And I moved, was it Chris Godwin, Miles Sanders, and Leonard Fournette for Ekeler. And I said to myself, this could potentially be like a league-winning move. My team was already pretty solid to get from the get-go. I had McCaffrey. I made the trade for ETN. I was waiting for Cam Akers to do something. And Ekeler, you know, couldn't have fit into this team, let alone any team, any better than he has. My low is that of Kyler Murray. Was complaining. I loved him at the beginning of the year. I remember even one podcast, I praised him. And then slowly but surely after that praising, he just got worse and worse. Again, an egomaniac who looks like it's all about him. Stuff that we talked about is coming to fruition now. They're saying Cliff Kingsbury is going to be getting fired after the next 2 games. Him and Kyler are at complete different odds. The team is turning their back on the coach. This is a mess. The Cardinals are going to be a mess. Kyler Murray sucks. On the flip side of it, it being my low, I did find Justin Fields. This will be my starting quarterback going forward, which then leads me into my strategy. This is my strategy. This is what I did at the beginning of this year, and it looks like it worked. I'm in the finals. This is my strategy going forward. 1, get yourself not just a throwing quarterback, but a running back that can run. I know, a quarterback who can run. I know that sounds ridiculous, but right now, both you and I, with you and Jalen Hurts and me with Justin Fields. Justin Fields number 5, Jalen Hurts is number 3. We're doing something right. We have top 5 quarterback because of the fact that they can scramble. 2, wide receiver for me will always be on the back burner going forward. I would love to have 1. I have my Stephon Diggs, who's my wide receiver 1. Then I have Devonta Smith, who I traded for earlier for Tony Pollard because of my wide receiver situation, which is similar to your running back situation. But I've been playing the likes of Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk. Let's go, Brandon. Rondale Moore, Jahan Dotson, Joshua Palmer, who just up and downs. 10s, and then there's 2s, and then there's 10 weeks, and then there's 2 weeks, and then there's 10-point weeks, and there's 2 points. I'm over it. So my third strategy, again, which is what I eventually came up with, was loading up on running back 1s. I know that sounds ridiculous. Rob, why wouldn't you do that? Well, in this league in particular, we have 2 flexes. I finally got to a point, again, thank you, Cam Akers, that now my flexes are Travis Etienne and Cam Akers, and I'm only starting 2 wide receivers. Going forward, that's what I want. I want that running back that is going to get the 18 to 20 plus touches in both of my flex positions, because this goes full circle to a conversation you and I had, Ryan, a week ago, where you listed a bunch of players, who should I play in my flex? And I said, well, Cam Akers is the RB1. He should potentially, if you think about the game of football, being a running back, should have the opportunity to touch the ball more than a wide receiver. Thus, scoring more touchdowns, which is exactly what Cam Akers did last week to win me the game, to get to the championship. So my strategy is load up on RBs, get that running quarterback, put those wide receivers on the back burner, and you could be just like me one day.
Let's jag off. So we want to talk about the Jaguars' path to the playoffs now, after that magnificent win we had over the Cowboys and the Jets. So we were discussing this, and it sounds like we have to win outright in the sense that if we win both games, we are in. If the Titans lose both games, I think that was the original assumption I had. Right now, as it stands, Jaguars are 7-8, Titans are 7-8, and Jaguars lead in division wins, I think, at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So with the Titans losing to the Texans, it sounds like we can lose this game against the Texans and still make the playoffs by beating the Titans next week.
The Titans. Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. We've already beaten the Titans once. It doesn't look like Malik Willis is doing anything to change that team's offense. Derrick Henry's got a lot on his shoulders to the point where he's fumbling. I mean, where do you see us going? The offense we put together, but also the offensive linemen that we lost, like Cam Robinson. Are you concerned about those injuries as we're going into these next two games?
You know, in all honesty, Ryan, no. And this is, we talk about a year in review really quick for the Jaguars. This is what I'll say. We lost a lot of close games. I kept saying it. I was like, God dang it. We finally came back on one with the Raiders. And I sat there, I was like, we might have something here. Then we do it again. Baltimore. I definitely think we have something here. And then we beat the Cowboys. And I was like, oh my gosh. And even in that game, ETN wasn't even really a part of the game. Like, they shut him down and were able to bottle him up, and we still were able to pull that off. And so it was a miracle play. Well, okay, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And, as you kept saying it, we beat, what was it, a 10-3, 10-4 team? And I'm like, this team could do anything. And then going against the Jets, and then all of a sudden ETN's back. We have a well-balanced attack now through the air, on the ground. The defense just keeps stepping up. Even people you were talking about, I know Cam Robinson, Smoot's another one that's going to be injured, and I think he's done for the year too. But I mean, these people are coming in, and I don't even think it matters anymore. Because I think, in my honest opinion, we've been one of the higher scoring offenses all year long. It's just the wins weren't coming. It was only a matter of time, and now the wins are coming. And in my honest opinion, as I kept saying it all year long, we're a young and hungry team. And sometimes, dude, that's all it takes. And now we have a lowly freaking Houston offense. And Tennessee, who we already shellacked in Tennessee. It was the first time we'd done it in, 7 to 8 years? Dude, we're winning these next two games. It's going to be with ease. And the last time I checked, when they showed the playoff picture, that showed us against the Ravens, okay? Already beat them. And then behind them would be the Bills right now, who, if you think back to just last year, we beat them too. And we weren't as good as we are now. Not saying we would or anything, but we can both agree that Buffalo has been stumbling a little bit. I know you have your gripes with Josh Allen being the quarterback, a limited quarterback, the way he is mentally. I'm telling you, man, I think at the beginning of this year, I said Trevor Lawrence would be a top 7 quarterback going into next year for fantasy. I think right now he resides in either 6, 7, or 8. I mean,
I'm gonna be
there's
honest,
nothing in my opinion this team can't do.
He's
I think so too.
I'm actually gonna go out there on the limb and say, like, this could be a week you actually may want to. I know Houston's had a pretty good pass defense all year, but I think Trevor's for real, man. I mean, he's on fire. This is a week you could consider if you got someone like Geno Smith, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, that you've been relying on. I think you're streaming like that. Like, I think Trevor is a pretty safe play, and I think next year I may be taking him over Josh Allen. I think Trevor's gonna start to open up a little bit with his legs if he works on the fumbling, learns to protect the ball a little better, learns when to slide. We're gonna see a little bit more of a running threat, but he's got that Peyton Manning arm quality that I really like.
Yes, he does.
So I'm very excited to see Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. I think they're going to go pretty high next year, and I'm not sure where I would take them all as around Josh Allen. That's my feeling. I think he's looking great. Your prediction for this Houston game is going to be 61, supposed to be sunny, 0% chance of rain as of now.
35-10 Jaguars.
35-10. Wow. All right. I mean, and I think we can put it on. Obviously, ETN's going to be a big part of this strategy for this game, right?
Huge, because again, their corners are two of the best this year. Ironically enough, it's like the one thing Houston's been doing well. You think about it, man. They were leading the Chiefs and they were leading the Cowboys in the fourth quarter. The last 2 games they've played, not including last week because I'm blanking on who they played because Houston just blows and I'm not going to watch their games. But Jacksonville, man, like this is the start of something phenomenal. And like I've heard it, I know I've even said it on this podcast. Dude, week 1, after that heartbreaking loss against the Commanders, I go to work, man, and I'll never forget this. This is week 1. And I hear this lady who clearly doesn't know shit from shit. And she just goes, all I know is we need to cut that quarterback.
Yeah.
And I just like look at her and I'm like,
you don't even need to cut that quarterback's hair, lady.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is, oh, God. That's Jacksonville football. That's why, to me, like, the Let's Jag Off segment is so much fun. Because being here and, like, seeing this team essentially rise all year long, it's still just not enough. And I've read it on forums. I wish I could go back to my heart being broke, or, to watching blowouts so my heart's not broken at the end of the game after we lost a couple clinchers. I'm like, what kind of fan are you? I want to win. I want to, if I have to lose some close games to win some close games, that's what I want to see. That's called improvement, guys. This is what football's all about. Like, it's just ridiculous down here in Jacksonville. Like, these fans have no idea what they're talking about. They're finally doing something, and they still can't. I'm waiting to start losing again. Like, my God, your life must just be full of fun.
We got to see where. I mean, what did my dad say? 5-12. Well, we're way past that now. So,
yes,
I'm looking forward to. I hope we just win the next 2 instead of just taking a loss on this one and then going in to beat Tennessee. But I think maybe we could get a little deeper than other people think. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be one of those DFS plays when we start talking about playoff fantasy football next week and get into the second season. Shout out to them. We'll be talking about. I'm going to be putting some Jags in my lineup. You better believe it. I think they're going to have that underdog quality this year.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking it's going to be something. But as far as fantasy goes, you guys in keeper leagues, make sure pick up Calvin Ridley. I'd say trade for ETN at this point. Jump on the Ingram bandwagon. I've been saying all year how excited I was about this. If he's going to be re-signing and staying for a while, I think he's got immediate chemistry with Trevor now, and get ready for it next year, especially if we lose somebody like Zay or someone like that. So everyone out there that is listening, stop, because you're wasting your time. Once again, this is Fantasy R&R with Rob and Ryan. We'll see you next time.